And I also want to interrupt because one of these, I have an instant winner here, gift card at Starbucks, global warming. I love it. Who wrote that down?
You got her trained.
So
I was embarrassed about it.
you're an instant.
Yeah, we want to know all about it.
Because I had a theory that as the world got warmer and these thermal pockets became more prevalent, because flying in the summer, I feel like I experienced more turbulence. And then I read an article that said, maybe, that the science still isn't there, but it's when you're going through all those big thermal pockets. So it seems like as the world heats up, we're going to experience more turbulence.
I'm on your side. It really is. When you remember the cold, well, there were two really cold spells in the Midwest this year. They called the polar vortex. Remember that? That's from the even as cold as it is in the polar parts of the world. All it has to do is raise a couple of degrees in the temperature of the water, and that has a dramatic effect on the amount of rising air coming off of the poles, and that's what caused the polar jet streams to ease down in the country. And that happens naturally in the winter because it gets but it's for different reasons. In the winter, the land mass over the North American continent gets cooler, so that there's less rising warm air, so the jet stream can ease down into the lower latitudes. That's why you get more turbulence generally from the jet stream, clearer turbulence up at altitude, flying in the United States during the winter months. Whereas in the summer months, it tends to move further north and it's higher off the ground, up in the 40 to 50,000. But I believe that, and that's what they attributed the polar vortex to, is the fact that it is raising up there and it's displacing that polar air. It has nowhere to go, so it just drifts down into the southern latitudes. Yeah, so I believe there is. They certainly have suspicions about hurricanes and storms being more violent and more plentiful and all that. And so yeah, I think that it makes sense on some level. Yeah. Now the thing is that I want you to get through is that turbulence is not dangerous. It's annoying. It's only dangerous if you're not securely fastened in the back of the airplane. So you really want to pay attention to that. Why do people get up and move around? Why do you see people? They'll warn it, and it's not bumpy, but you'll see the seatbelt sign on, and people will get up and move about. Why did they do that? Complacency, because they're probably business people. They've traveled. They've seen that 100 times, and nothing ever happened. And that's a trap that sets you up. That's why when I was talking about as a pilot, the safer and safer that he gets to fly with nothing going wrong in the airplane, the harder it is to be vigilant and be sitting there ready. So that's the biggest challenge, especially when it gets to automated airplanes, because now more of the direct control of the airplane is taken out of our hands, and we become more systems managers, and it's just not as interesting. Most pilots wanted to be pilots because they like measured input yields, measured response. I push forward and the thing goes down, I pull back and it goes up. Okay? When you're flying in the auto, we spend 95% of the time with the autopilot engaged. Yeah.
I legitimately think that crying babies make things a lot worse, because if I'm already in a tense situation,
Sure.
and I hear some baby crying, so then I start getting more stressed because
Yeah.
I start getting distracted by the baby, and then that starts to, because loud noises, obviously, because the plane is sometimes loud,
Sure.
as it already is, and then the baby amplifying that.
Yeah.
And then, so I have to deal with me being already afraid of the plane, and then a baby crying, then the loud noise from the plane all coming into my ears.
Yep.
Always makes me more stressed.
And I have seen people like you, young people, who are more noise sensitive. And we had a young girl, she was 12 years old, and I did some custom coaching with her, and I think that was about the same time that we were working together. Yeah. And they lived down in San Diego when they drove up here. But when we flew that day, she got off the plane the first time we tried to fly, and it was, one of the things about Boeing, I don't know if they've changed it now, but there's only one place to tweak the volume control for the PA, and it's a mechanics thing. It's not even like a switch that everybody could do, and I don't know if they've changed that in the new ones or not. Yeah, and we got on this airplane, and the first time that we had one of the speakers right over us, it scared the bejesus out of me when we said, "Welcome," and it's like, whoa, back that sucker down, And it was. So it was startling. And for her, it started her to spiral and she couldn't get out from under it. It just, every time, and it was just blaring at us. So it really is a real issue. And babies crying, yeah, it's upsetting. It's upsetting. And that day, I have to confess, I actually knew where that baby was going to sit, so I swapped, and you ended up with my seat there. So, no, I didn't do that. Okay, yeah.
Real quick, just kind of on what she was saying. I've been on so many flights where the pilot will come on, or the airline attendant will be like, "We're having mechanical issues," like right before you
Oh, yeah.
take off,
Right before
and they don't say anything else about like what that is. And that's like, if somebody has any kind of, it just takes you to this whole like, well, what
Sure.
kind of mechanic? Like,
Sure.
why did you have to tell me that?
Right. Well, the main thing is we want to tell you, because being informed in some ways is better than not being informed. You know, when you just don't know what's going on and they just drag it out. But that's another part where Eric and I are big believers in. You know, it's kind of like a commercial. We try to tailor the announcement to about the 6th grade level, where advertising is mostly targeted. Because if we make it too lofty, then it can confuse you because you don't know what we're talking about, and you can get caused you to mistrust. Or if we make it too much below you, then it's kind of condescending. Okay, so there is a science to that. But I'm with you. You have to be very tactful. And in the early part of my career. You know, when I had a mechanical, I would just camp out up in the front. It wasn't anything I could do about it, and I do that. And as I matured in the last 15 to 20 years of my career, I was involved with people like you. So I would get up, and I never used the PA. I would always go back down the aisle, and I would literally tell people what I knew in an appropriate way. You know, and sometimes it would be like, you know, when you take your car to the mechanic and it's got this thump, you know, and you don't know what it is, the mechanic's trying to figure it out. I said, well, we're in the thump identification phase, okay? But you get that, right? You know, you don't know what's wrong sometimes when you're not getting the right reading or something off of that. But there is an art to making announcements that can keep people informed and at ease. And again, this is another one where I would debrief the guy. If you're sitting on a long delay and they'll let you get up and move about the airplane, I would go up there and I'd say, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? You say, you know what, that wasn't helpful to me with what you said. I'm a little more curious about what's going on, you know, and I didn't understand that. And certainly at the end of the flight, I would say something like that. Does that make sense? I'm trying to because one of the things about being a fearful flyer is you take on a victim role. We all become victims, right? When somebody says something hurtful to you that you love, and you know, we instantly know how to go into the victim mode. But we do that when we have fears about flying as well. You know, it's not terminal or anything, but we just feel kind of at the end of that. And one of the things you can do is take back your own power. Ask the pilots if you can get an explanation. Ask the flight attendants if everybody's strapped in and they're walking up and down the aisle. Say, you know, is it possible to get a little more information from the guys about what's going on? And a lot of the, you know, you've got a whole variety of humanity out there working as flight attendants, and younger, older, doesn't matter. Their life experiences all weigh in, and some of them may be really good and some not so much. But I do have a lot more confidence if you identify yourself getting on the airplane to the flight attendant first. Hi, my name's Ron. I'm a little nervous about flying. One of the things that they do is, and I've watched this, they become very, very interested in you in the sense that the many trips that they'll make up and down the aisle, they'll just be going like, how you doing? You know, and they'll just check on you. And it's really powerful to have somebody show that kind of interest in the back.
Do we have time to discuss any of the emotional triggers?
Yeah, this sounds like a good time.
Yeah, well, yeah, I probably have.
Eric just said you need to do one of those emotional triggers.
Let me pause on the mechanical thing for just a minute. 90% of the time, I'm real specific if we have a mechanical problem because everybody's tuned into it automatically and they usually detect a lie immediately. It's not helpful. But 90% of the time, the mechanic will come up and I'll know exactly what the problem is. We know when they get there, exactly what they're going to do to fix it. But when they fix it, we have to contact our local maintenance control in Phoenix and then our corporate headquarters in Dallas. And so they're talking to each other. And we have to get our logbook signed off in detail for what they did. And when we've done that, we talk to our dispatcher who has to agree with us that the airplane is airworthy, and he sends an amendment to our release. So even if they come up there and repair a chair arm, with a chair where somebody's sitting in it, so we just can't inop the chair. We have to go through all these parts, trace the part number, get the logbook signature done, have our local maintenance controllers talk to Dallas, talk to dispatch, and get it done. So nothing, even if it's simple, is fast. But when you're sitting there and you take a delay, it's like, oh, it's longer and longer and longer.
Right.
I wonder if it's a wing bolt, and then they found another one. It's not that. It's this paper trail that has to go all the way up and down
Guy that fixed it isn't.
before they can go with a broken chair. Does that help at all?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
it happens a lot of times when your flight's delayed before you even get on the.
So it's very nice if they tell you what it is, and you go,
Yeah,
it's not
100%.
it's not the black
But
mold on
even
the
if
wing
they
bolt.
didn't, if they just said something as simple as, seriously guys,
Sure.
it's fine.
Sure.
Like during turbulence, like
I
those
understand.
5 words or whatever, that would be.
You stand a better chance if you start telling them that what you needed, okay? Let me, hold 1 second, let me,
When they say mechanical problems, I always say good.
yeah, right. Yeah, that's the other end of it. Yeah, do you want to find it out at 35,000 feet or before takeoff? Right. Absolutely.
I think, oh, good, they know something's wrong. They're either gonna fix it to where we're safe or they're gonna take us off.
And in their defense, you've occasionally seen that when there's been a giant meeting up in front with guys with orange vests and the pilots, and they're talking the radio, and so even though they'd like to make the PA, they're having the powwow, and now they're time stressed trying to get that done as quickly as possible to get it away.